Hey guys, it's our Shawn. Let's talk about board of director roles and responsibilities. Maybe you're a business owner, maybe you're a business leader, maybe you're part of a board of directors, maybe you're considering joining a board of directors, maybe you have a company you may want to put a board of directors in, or maybe you're running a corporation and you have a board of directors. There's a lot of reasons why you might be curious about board of director roles and responsibilities, and we're going to jump into it today. Now, this is a suggested topic that came to us. We always are reading comments, looking for suggestions, things around business law, being a better business owner and better business leader. So that's how we learn about these things. Your comments do matter, so do feel free to comment to this video. Tell us what you want to see. So before we jump into it, quick reminder here, we will be talking about some legal issues. This is not legal advice. It's not tailored to you. Consult your legal advisor. Also, consult your financial or investment advisor. What is the role of the board? The board generally sits between the shareholders of a corporation and the actual operating officers and managers of the business. This may look a little different in an LLC that has a board. And a board typically is not required for an LLC by applicable law, but many LLC owners do opt to use a board or a board type structure in their LLC. So there you would have members, a board, and then you would have the officers or managers of the LLC. So that board as a role sits in that middle position and is an overseer. So if we were thinking about this graphically, we would have the owners at the top. They would be delegating authority to the board of directors in the middle, who in turn would be delegating authority to the officers of the company and managers. And what happens is the shareholders, through different mechanisms, can change the board members, and the board members, through their collective action, could change who the officers and managers are. Maybe they don't like how the business is being run. Maybe somebody resigns. They need to appoint a replacement. Maybe they, want to set up incentive packages, pay packages. That board is overseeing the management. They're taking that control role. So their role is to do what's best, and we'll talk about responsibilities in a minute, but basically do what's best for the owners and take care of things with the operators, the people below them, in the company. So they're sitting in that middle position. What is their responsibility? If you read the case law, now this could be varied by contract in some jurisdictions. Certainly for an LLC where you set up a board, you get to set this up by contract. But speaking of like the Delaware General Corporation law, that board is generally in charge with what they call a fiduciary duty. They are essentially a trustee of the operations of the company, to do what's best for the shareholders. Now, this has become a little more complicated in recent years because we have B corporations, which are benefit corporations. The board may be considering more than just the stockholders or owners. California and some other states have long had a concept of stakeholders, a broader group of people who have interest in the company beyond just the board. But the board's responsibility is to essentially oversee the company, generally for the owners or shareholders, although they may have responsibilities as others. So they are in charge with looking out for things on behalf of somebody else in general. And what they're going to be doing is looking at the operations of the company, how the company works, how the company runs, and making sure that it's being done in the best possible way, or at least that's their fiduciary duty. The real world obviously sets in, and you can't always have the best things. But the board is responsible to keep tabs on that, collect information, review what's going on. And then the big thing the board does is they usually meet and vote. Sometimes, and this happens more in smaller companies and big companies, you could have a written consent. You could just have the board sign off on things in a written fashion without having an actual meeting. And that's usually authorized by most corporate codes, that you could just, sign a written document, have all the board members sign, and then it's the same as, at least for authorization purposes, the same as having a board meeting. So from a responsibility standpoint, they can make things happen. And they make things happen through voting. And so that's one of the big responsibilities of the board, is to meet and vote. What is this company going to do? What should it do? Are we going to get in this new line of business? Are we not going to get in this new line of business? Are we going to remove the CEO, or are we going to keep the CEO? If we think about the Papa John's case from many years ago, Papa John, the actual guy who was, the starter of the company, the founder, said some things that were problematic, and the board actually got together and decided to fire him, right? So the board, as a group, was overseeing the company, trying to see what was best for the company. And they decided that one of the best things for the company was to get rid of actual Papa John. Now that becomes quite awkward. And the board has to balance the brand name, the relationship with Papa John, the media exposure versus the things he said and the potential interest for the company. And they made a decision there. That is a classic board responsibility, to make decisions. They collect the information. The board will typically, at least in larger companies, be given preparatory materials, things to review, things to become familiar with before they go into the board meeting. They'll have the board meeting, and then as things come up for issues, they'll say yes or no, and they'll vote for it. So they need to generally, they need to show up to the meetings, they need to be prepared, and they need to vote in the best interest of the company. Litigation will ensue when maybe they have a conflict of interest. Maybe they don't properly prepare, right? These are all things that have been tested in different corporate law cases in different states. So be ready for the meeting, show up to the meeting, conduct the meeting, vote on behalf of the shareholders, not themselves, do what's best for the shareholders. And that's the big things they do, and they're responsible to do what's best for the company. And so that is the core responsibilities. What does it mean for us? We've got to set the right board. We got to get the right mixture of people, because they're meeting and voting to authorize potentially big things on the company. You want to have the right mix of people. You want different experiences, different backgrounds, different knowledge of different markets. Whatever might be beneficial for the company, that's what you want to think about in terms of seating that board. You want to get all the right people together at the right time for the right place. So picking your board could be something very strategic, and that's something we may visit again here in another video. Let me know in the comments what you're interested in, because we do listen to you. So what do? Well, our board is a very, very important role in our company. Whether we are a corporation where we are required under applicable law to have a board, or whether we're an LLC where we're choosing to have a board, that board sits in a very important decision-making role of the company, and we want to make sure that we give the company the information, and if they do, they have the ability to discharge their duties and fulfill their responsibilities to the company. Hope that's helpful. Do look forward to reading your comments. If you're a business owner and business leader interested in corporate law, business law issues that may concern your company now and in the future, please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like so other people can see it, and share it with your friends that might be interested in it. All right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Really enjoyed having you here.